What is good, everybody? Man, it's your boy Jay in the building. We is back again with another video. Now, before we get this video started, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. All right, man. So MEAC play starts this weekend, man. Now, I'm gonna do probably a little brief summary with all the teams so far. Then I'm probably gonna predict on how they're gonna finish. And I think I did that already in another video, but since this is a full MEAC video, I'm going to do it here too as well. So, first off, I want to say congrats to the MEAC for putting belt to ass against the SWAC, even though it was probably only FAMU that caught it. It was FAMU, was it Southern, Bethune-Cookman? I forget who, I don't know if that was it or not, but I think that was it. But yeah, shout out to MEAC putting belt to ass against the SWAC. Now, I'm going to start off with Norfolk State. Now, hold up. Now, granted, just because their records are what they are, don't mean that's how the MEAC is going to turn out. I remember South Carolina State being 1-5 or being 1-5 against everybody else, but when it came to the MEAC, they went undefeated and ended up actually winning the Celebration Bowl. So anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? So, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Now, first off, we got Norfolk State. Now, defensively, they have not played well, even though they've been in a lot of close losses. I think they're 1-5, and I think 3 of those losses were by less than a touchdown. Now, offensively, they've been pretty solid offensively. I like Otto Coons. Otto Coons has played pretty well. Like, I know people probably ain't really been paying attention to Norfolk because they've been losing, but Otto Coons has been playing all right though. He's second in the MEAC in passing yards with I think 8 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions, and he's second in the conference in completion percentage. So he's been quietly playing well, especially since he didn't really start. He didn't start the season out. I think it was Isaiah, but yeah, that quickly changed at the first game of the year. But and then his 2 weapons, Cameron Thomas and Deshaun Kendrick, those 2 guys have been absolutely amazing for Norfolk. And I know that, I think that team collectively, they don't play complementary football well. Like, I know, like, anytime the offense played well, the defense didn't pick up with them. And then the few times that the defense did play well, the offense wasn't there. And then it was games where they both played bad. You know what I'm saying? So they just haven't meshed well so far together. But defensively, they just have not been good. And it's so bad to the point where Coach Mike Vick fired not only the D coordinator, but the other two opposition coaches. So we'll see how Norfolk goes, with them moving forward in the MEAC conference play. So it's gonna be interesting. Now moving on is Morgan State. Now I don't know how good or bad. I don't know how good Morgan State is. Their 3 wins are against Division II opponents. And one of those wins, they damn near almost lost. Against Miles, Miles was about to kick a field goal to take the lead, going like with a minute left in the game. Block a field goal, return it for a touchdown, and then next thing you know, they're up by 7 with less than a minute to go, and then Morgan State ends up winning. And then one of their 4 losses, they lose in a Hail Mary, when they're up the entire game. Then they last play of the game. And then their other 2 losses was against FBS opponents. So I don't know how good or bad this team is. I know, and I guess this is by default, but Kobe Musa has probably been their best quarterback. Like, this is the best the quarterback play has looked since probably 2021, maybe. And it's not saying much at all. I know. But I know he didn't play last week, Kobe Musa. And their other running back, Jason Collins, he hasn't played the last 2 games. So I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be if he's healthy, but I do know that Eric Hunter has been really, really good for the defense, and they don't give up a lot of points. I will say that, and they're good when it comes to stopping the run. So it's going to be interesting to see this team because, like I said, I don't know how good or bad this team is, but they are 3-4. They're only 1 game under 500, so we'll see what happens with this team. And all right, so next up we have Howard. Now defensively they've been really good. They've been really solid defensively. I will say that. Now outside of them losing to Temple, giving 55 points to Temple, which is their FBS team. So, like I said, I'm gonna give just a little bit of grace for them losing that much. Now, even though they gave up 30 points against Sacred Heart, they did well in the first half. Even though their offense didn't pick up with them, they took a big slide in the second half and especially in the fourth quarter. But outside of that, defensively, they gave up 9 points, 13 points, 7 points. This defensively, they've been playing pretty well the majority of the year. It's just that their offense has not picked up with them. Now, even though they scored 38 against Morehouse and they scored over 30 against Hampton, outside of that, they haven't scored more than 2 touchdowns in a game outside of those 2 games. And Hampton ain't a good team this year. Morehouse is a Division II team that has a losing record. So I don't know. And yeah, their offense has not been good, and especially in these last 3 games. Scoring less than 2 touchdowns a game last 3 games and less than 300 yards of total offense. So they're going to have to get it together offensively if they're going to want to even compete. Now, Noah Miles has definitely been really good for the defense, and I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be a first-team all-conference performer in the MEAC for sure. Now, moving on to South Carolina State. Defensively, they've also been really good. Matter of fact, this has probably been the best defensive team in the MEAC. They got Michael Lungs, who's probably been the best defensive player so far, or one of the best. Gerard Washington is probably been the best lockdown corner in the MEAC. I will say that. Now, they do have some nice offensive weapons, especially Jalen Johnson at receiver, one of the best receivers in the MEAC for sure. The problem with this team is that I don't know what their identity is offensively. They've been using the 2 quarterback system, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Defensively, they won some of these games, and they did lose to a team that has not won a game for a whole calendar year, and they damn near lost to North Carolina A&T. If it wasn't for those 2 fumbles in the fourth quarter and giving them short field, I don't know if they would have had enough to travel down the field and actually score, because they've been having trouble. And there's been plenty of times this year where they had to make quarterback changes in the middle of a game. And and they're probably one of the few teams, if not the only team in HBCU football period, that have 2 quarterbacks that's thrown for over 100 passes. And that's not something you see often unless you just not confident in the quarterback that you have. In which I always thought that Ryan Summerfield should have stayed in games longer than he should have. So me personally, I've never liked the 2 quarterback system. If you have to use 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. So, hopefully they do pick up, they do have a quarterback in place and stick stick to him the entire game, no matter how good or bad he's playing, unless he's playing that terrible. But they do have defined an identity on offense, and and stick whoever quarterback they're gonna use. Next up, Delaware State. Like I said, man, they've been scoring over 30 points in their last 5 games, including a 70 ball in their last game that we saw them, homecoming, with over 500 yards rushing, which is absolutely crazy. They lead the entire nation in rushing per game. They're averaging, as a team, they're averaging they're averaging 12. No. One of their running backs on the team, which is probably their second leading rusher, is averaging over 12 yards a carry. I think that's James Jones. Marcus Gillis is top 10 in the nation in rushing. I think he has over 700 yards with 5 touchdowns. Their quarterback, Caden Bennett, has over 400 yards rushing, and he has 12 total touchdowns, and 9 of those being rushing. Now, the problem with this team is that they're very undisciplined. They get way too many penalties. They averaging damn near 90 yards worth of penalties each game. And they had a game where they had 16 penalties against a Division II squad. Now, if that was a quality team that they were going up against with that many penalties, I don't know if they would have won that game. But they've been doing the same thing to everybody. No matter if they won or lost the games, they've been belt to ass when it comes to this running, and could nobody stop them. Nobody has been able to stop them so far with running. And shout out to Clinton Portis, the running back coach over there. I don't know what he has his boys doing, but they've been doing a hell of a job with running the ball. Now, their defense has lost them a lot of games because they get scored on a lot. And especially when it comes to them with trying to stop the run. They have not been good with stopping the run. So, hopefully, if their defense can meet where their offense is at, who knows how good this team could be. But this running attack is absolutely phenomenal. And then, of course, we got North Carolina Central, the team that I picked in the beginning of the season to win the MEAC, and they're 5-2. They're averaging almost 40 points a game. They've been scoring over 40 points these last 4 games, and they're 4-0 in them games. They put up 60 on A&T. They put up 50 on East Texas A&M, and of course the last 40 games against FAMU and I forget the other team. But yeah, this offense has been absolutely amazing. Beginning with Walker, he's top 10 in passing in the nation in passing. Well, I think he has over 1,700 yards. Chris Mosley, one of the top running backs in the nation as well. He has over 700 yards rushing, and he also has another 200 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. He has 7 to 8 total touchdowns. And, on defense, even though, this is a bend but don't break defense. They're not good. They're decent when it comes to stopping the run and pass. But the one thing, the best thing that they do on this defense is they lead the conference in turnovers and forced turnovers, and they lead the conference in sacks. And they get sacked the least amount of times. So Walker stays relatively clean the majority. He's only been sacked 11 times so far this year, which is the least in the MEAC. And this offense is so smooth with Walker at quarterback. And y'all, this game this week with North Carolina Central and Delaware State, dog. And mind you, this is a homecoming game for North Carolina Central. I know that game gonna be packed. That game's gonna be packed as hell. So I think, honestly, for me, I think this game right here, it could determine where the MEAC, right, where the MEAC win. I think the winner of this game is gonna at least get a share of the MEAC. No less than that. I think both of these offenses are gonna put up points in bunches the last 5 weeks of the season. I think both of these teams are gonna put up at least 30 points the rest of the season. The question that I have is who gonna keep up. I think now I'm not gonna sleep on Norfolk State because even though they're only 1-5, their record is 1-5. They can put up points with Otto Coons and the two weapons on offense. So I will say that. So I'm not going to sleep on Norfolk State just yet. But the top two teams for me are playing against each other this weekend. At Central's homecoming. So I think that's going to be a barn burner. I think the winner of that game is going to at least get a share of the MEAC. So we'll see how far that goes. But like I said, if I'm going to put it in order on how I think it's going to finish, of course, number one, I have Delaware State. No, I have Central at number one. I got Delaware State number two, in which it was just crazy because Delaware State was predicted to finish last. And now we're talking about Delaware State being a real contender, like a real contender. But I got Delaware State finishing second. I got South Carolina State finishing third. I actually got Morgan State in fourth. I got Howard fifth, and I got Norfolk. No, matter of fact, scratch that. I got Norfolk State at fifth and Howard at sixth. So that's how I have the order. But like I said, man, this North Carolina Central and that Delaware State game to start the MEAC off, man, I think that game gonna be amazing. And granted, North Carolina Central and South Carolina State do play on a Friday, and I think that's gonna be a real good game too. But have we known how good Delaware State was gonna be? I think this game could have been flexed to a Thursday night game or a Friday night. This game could have been flexed to a night game. But like I said, man, that game right there is going to be absolutely amazing to see, dog. But I can't wait. MEAC plays here. Going to see who's going to get the opportunity to win the MEAC, man, and ultimately go to the Celebration Bowl, man. But I think this weekend, period, is going to be fun. So we're going to see what happens. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to have that game out on Sunday. That North Carolina Central and Delaware State, I might have that game out Sunday. That's how anticipated I am on watching that game. That game going to be fun to watch. But the MEAC is going to be fun to watch, man. I cannot wait, dog. And I hope y'all watch too, man. But listen, I appreciate y'all for watching. I really do appreciate the support that y'all been giving, and I really do appreciate the kind words and encouragement, dog. I appreciate that, but I'll holler at y'all.